Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your monthly zodiac reading for the month of June 2025. I'm just going to set my glasses over there. As usual, we're going to check an overall energy theme for the month. We will get tarot for each week, clarify that with more tarot, as well as wrap it up with some additional oracle guidance. And we will talk about the astrological transits and how those messages correlate to those energies. So let's see what the month of June has in store for you. Shine your lights. Have you guys been hiding in the background? But this could represent that this is your time to kind of, it almost feels like vocalize what it is that you stand for, or put yourself out there in a way that maybe makes you feel just a little uncomfortable, something that kind of tests your boundaries or tests your own limitations right at the moment. But really just kind of put yourself out there and allow yourself to be seen for that beautiful light being that you are. Let's see what the tarot has to say. Here in the first week, okay, the 10 of Wands. So the 10 of Wands represents kind of like carrying a very heavy burden, something that you potentially carrying a lot of responsibility, or like even like baggage, maybe baggage that you just maybe feel like you've been carrying around a while, or like I said, a lot of responsibility. This is the week that Venus, your ruling planet, is going to be moving into your first house, right? So this is a beautiful transit, especially for you guys, since you and Venus, since your energy and Venus are naturally together anyway, and then it's moving into your sign, also the first house. This is a lot about you. You could ultimately end up like changing up your aesthetic or how you look, because the first house has a lot to do with our physical appearance, as well as and Venus has a lot to do with aesthetic. I initially felt like maybe you ultimately end up trying to shift things when it comes to your physical health as far as your appearance goes. But this also has a lot to do with your sense of self, right? This has a lot to maybe you're carrying some baggage around how you feel about you, right? How you love yourself, and maybe how you think about the value that you bring as an individual, right? Because we're talking about shining your light. It could be that there are a lot of things from the past that make you feel like you can't be up front and center with who it is that you naturally are. Here in the second week, 6 of Wands in reverse. So already a lot of fire sign energy. This could have to do with physical attraction. This could have to do with creativity and inspiration, intuition, and even personal growth. On the 8th, Mercury, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, and messages, it's moving into the sign of Cancer. For you guys, this is your third house. This has a lot to do with communication and thinking. So Mercury traditionally rules that house, but not in that sign. When you're communicating, Cancer with communication has a lot to do with like talking to people in a very kind, considerate, loving light. It's also kind of how you process emotion and process information. So Mercury moving into this, you could become very, very chatty, have a lot of ideas, and just really want to communicate things. On the 9th, we also have Jupiter moving into that sign. So Jupiter is all about growth, expansion, luck, abundance, and it's moving into that sign. So you might feel the urge to really start using your voice, really start maybe, I don't want to necessarily say advocating for things, but ultimately just kind of using your voice more. I'm not entirely like, that's all I can really, it's like using your, just maybe telling people more about what you think and how you feel, and just maybe talking more to strangers, asking more questions, being more inquisitive, maybe to just people you're not even familiar with. On the 11th, we are experiencing a full moon within the sign of Sagittarius. Full moons are a buildup of energy, and they can be intense because they trigger our emotional body. And the light of the moon is revealing things that we need to see, either what's working, what we want, or what we don't want, right? And so anything that's kind of preventing us from embodying or integrating, um, anything, energies around the Sagittarius house that's in our chart, it's probably going to reveal things. And for you guys, Sagittarius sits in your 8th house. This is a challenging house. This is a karmic house. This is the house that has a lot to do with transformation. Things like death, rebirth, like very taboo subjects like sex, the occult. It also has to do with like shared resources and things like debt and inheritances. So when we look at the 8th house, all of those things, all of those themes can be very transformative. But for you guys, the full moon could be illuminating where you don't either feel supported, where maybe you don't feel successful, or maybe it's going to reveal a worry or fear that nobody's going to see you, nobody's going to like who you are if you put yourself out there, right? I think it's going to bring up this fear right here with the 6 of Wands in reverse. Here in the 3rd house, we've got the 9 of Swords in reverse. This is good. We like to see the 9 of Swords in reverse. This kind of represents that feelings of insomnia, anxiety, ruminating thoughts, just thoughts that keep repeating, things that maybe give you anxiety or worry are going to be dissipating. Like they're going to be easing up. This is the week that Mars moves into the sign of Virgo. So Mars is action, aggression, war, violence, desire. It is moving into the sign of Virgo. For you guys, Virgo sits in your 5th house. This is your house of self-expression, creativity, flings, and one-off love affairs. It also is the house that governs children, right? So it could be that when Mars moves into the sign of Virgo, if you've had some hesitancy or fears come up about being seen and shining your light and allowing people to get to know you, then it looks like maybe this is the week where those are going to kind of dissipate and kind of ease up a little bit. This is also when we begin Cancer season. So anytime we shift into a new astrological season, themes and qualities of that sign tend to take center stage. And when it comes to Cancer, we're looking at children, we're looking at maternal instincts, we are looking at the ancestral lineage within the within your ancestral lineage. We're looking at the physical home, and we're also looking at the internal home, right? Emotional safety. So those things are going to be coming up. And that is also when we kick off the summer solstice. So here in the last one, we've got Judgment. Okay. So Judgment is a major arcana, so it can represent that maybe the week of the new moon is going to be a turning point for you guys, or at least it's going to be one of, out of the month, it's probably going to be the most monumental one. On the 25th, we have a new moon in Cancer. New moons are new opportunities, or new opportunities to write a new story for ourselves or to set intentions around that particular area of our life. Again, this being Cancer, this is your 3rd house. So this is about communication, siblings, cousins, local communities, like your physically your neighborhood, as well as like children and the mother and thinking and communication, right? We're blending a lot of those themes together. So the new moon will also be sitting right around where Mercury is, and it will also be sitting I take that back. It won't be sitting near Mercury because Mercury's about to move into Leo, but it will be sitting near Jupiter. Okay. So it can make this new moon very positive and very, very expansive. For you guys, if you are working through this fear or this energy or this lesson around just showing up, maybe not being so guarded, allowing people to see you and hear you and to get to know you, you are going to have to surrender. Whatever is calling to you here on the new moon is something you need to pay attention to, right? Whether that is a person, a place, a subject, whatever the case may be, whatever is coming up for you around the new moon is something that's a call from the universe that you need to answer. This is when we also have Mercury, again, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, and messages, moving into the sign of Leo. This is your 4th house, so this has, again, a lot to do with the home, your physical home, or your internal space, right? Emotional safety. I think this will have more to do with the new moon in Cancer for you guys. Let's see what clarifying messages we can get. Here, the 10 of Wands, the Sun, okay, happiness, inspiration, joy, and the 5 of Wands, okay. This feels, so these 3 cards are like very contradictory. The 10 of Wands and the 5 of Wands, their themes are closer and they're easier to interpret together than the 3 of them are. The Sun being in the middle of it makes me feel like almost like you're suppressing your own happiness. Like you don't want other people to see how happy you are as a person. I know that sounds weird, but that is literally what this energy feels like. Like this is a very heavy burden. Like she's carrying very heavy bags. She's got a coat. Like she's just traveling. She's very much on her way somewhere, but it's like she is covering this up. And with the Sun being here representing like joy and happiness, it's like you're covering up how you feel because maybe you're afraid that it's going to make other people uncomfortable. The 5 of Wands, when it's in reverse, represents like feeling like you're in a battle that nobody's going to win, feeling like there is some sort of inner conflict or tension between different desires. It could be this clash of ego. Like I'm a really happy person and I like to put myself out there. I like to shine my light, but I'm afraid that it's like too much for other people. And so I hide it. And because I hide it, it feels like this conflict. So it could be that with Venus moving into your 1st house, that it's trying to get you, her presence essentially is kind of nurturing you to this place where it's okay for you to show people who you really are. You don't have to be so guarded. You don't have to keep diminishing and like hiding your light. And that's another thing about these 2 cards. Like this is very bright. This is kind of like, it's got cooler colors, you know what I mean? So you think of like gray skies, stuff like that. But like I said, that's kind of what the energy feels like to me. Like you're almost afraid that it's going to create this conflict of interest with other people. So you just bury who you are, which ultimately creates a conflict of interest within yourself. So here in the 2nd week, the 6 of Wands in reverse, feeling like maybe if you put yourself out there, you're not going to be received well. The Knight of Pentacles, do it slowly. do it a little step at a time. The Knight of Pentacles, Knights are the action takers of the tarot, and the Knight of Pentacles is a very slow moving knight. He's very intentional. He's very deliberate with every single step in action that he takes. So do it one little step at a time. And it may turn out that no one says anything, right? We've got the Ace of Swords here. The Ace of Swords in reverse, excuse me. Swords have to do with the mind, thoughts, ideas, and communication. And when the Ace of Swords is in reverse, like there's no communication coming in. Maybe there's no idea, or maybe there's a lack of clarity not coming in. But with the full moon being here in this week, I think the full moon in Sagittarius is like this fear that you've had. Like it's, our minds tend to make them out to be much bigger than what they actually are. So I think if you just let yourself show up as you are a little bit at a time, I really do think that you'd be surprised. I think you'll be surprised at the reception. It's probably not going to be what you ever think it's going to be, right? Here in the third week, the Nine of Swords in reverse, the Tower in reverse, and the Four of Cups in reverse, okay? I feel like with the Nine of Swords in reverse, it's like the fact that maybe you put yourself out there and you don't get the reception that you thought you would in a positive way, then it kind of allows these fears and these worries and these anxieties to kind of lift. And as a result, this change that felt so frightening and so scary with the Tower in reverse actually led to you putting yourself in a position that feels more natural. It's something that you're not bored with, you're not frustrated with, right? So I like that. Like, this is nice. It doesn't, I know that I think in the appearance of it, it doesn't look nice. It looks like it's going to be very heavy and challenging. And I'm not saying that it won't. But ultimately, I think if you just follow this energy, it's going to turn out really lovely. And I think by the end of it, you're going to be very surprised at how this turns out. So it could be that with, and also too, with Cancer season, I think something to think about is that if you're kind of trying to conquer any of these fears, any of these worries, things that keep you up at night, if you just go outside and allow yourself to be in nature, do things to meditate, just like sit in stillness, focus on gratitude even, then these big changes, again, that seem so scary, you're probably going to realize that you actually are much more capable of handling them than what you originally, again, thought. So here in the last week, Judgment, the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, and the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups, my friend. The Two of Cups. So with Judgment being here, this can represent taking a leap of faith and making a judgment call to potentially walk away from something that you've invested a lot of time into. You've invested a lot of time, you've invested a lot of energy, maybe even resources into something. And as a result, you're either going to meet someone new here with this Cancer new moon, or you're going to put yourself in alignment to meet someone new, if that's what you're hoping for. If you're not on the path looking for new love, the Two of Cups can represent encountering, almost like realigning your own values, right? Because Venus is still sitting in your first house, where you're beginning to focus more on what you value. right? So if you take this leap of faith and, like I said, maybe break away from something that you've been investing in with the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, then it's going to help you realign your heart with your values. And like I said, not be so guarded. So that's really beautiful. Let's get some oracle guidance, and then we will wrap this bad boy up. But it's time for you to step out. It's time for you to do your best to not be so guarded when it comes to your particular energy. Goal setting. Because like the wands can represent goals, right? They represent things that we desire. And with the 10 of wands, like you've been collecting these wands, things that you desire, things that inspire you. And maybe it's time for you to set some goals with those wands. It's finally time for you to set some goals. If your goal is to allow yourself to be seen, if your goal is to put yourself out there more to be seen, then it is time for you to set a goal on how you want to do that. Here in the tell it like it is. Look, here we've got microphones. And then here, this person is standing on a stage. If you want to sing, knock yourself out. Try little steps at a time, but tell it like it is. Like I said, this is about your third house of communication is being activated. It is being lit up this month. And you are being guided to the universe to start using your voice. All right. So just make sure that you're telling it like it is, right? Here in the third week, love is in the air. I told you, if some of you, this is a collective reading, so it's not going to apply to everyone. However, this is ultimately an opportunity, I think, for you to love yourself enough to really, like I said, put yourself out there. So love is in the air. Like maybe you're feeling just really good about yourself, really feeling very, very confident with who you are and where you are right now. And the last one, emotional baggage. Walking away and separating from something, and this could be things that this feels very much like family issues, things that may be family, like, what is it? Like almost like, like beliefs and things that maybe you were convinced of as a child, right? You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to hear you sing. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to see you do that. Let's not do that. Let's not, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what this energy feels like, this emotional baggage that you somehow acquired. Kind of like people say like generational wealth. Well, we also have like generational trauma, right? So these are things that we inherit from our family. These are things that we inherit from our, our family, right? We inherit a lot of things, not just tangible physical items. We tend to inherit physical traits. We inherit what is it? Like if we're medical things, hereditary things, like we inherit so much from family, right? But I think if you're able to surrender and not allow this emotional baggage to hold you back, then I think you're going to be able to realign your heart and your values. So I truly hope this helped. I hope you guys have an amazing month. This was a beautiful reading. So I hope you enjoy it. Have an amazing month, and we will see you next time. Replaying over and over and over in your mind.